On this episode of the Star Wars Time Show, Matt Nick will get a bit nostalgic by celebrating Phantom Menace's 25th with 10 cool design facts you may not know. After that, they'll riff on the newly announced Star Wars trilogy from Rebels co-creator Simon Kinberg. If talking about Star Wars movies that will never get made ain't your thing, then they'll also pour over some new Andor Season 2 footage that came out of D23 Brazil. Of course, they'll end the show with the question of the week responses and the latest round of top 5 Star Wars fan artist features. Punch it, Chewie.
Hey, now everybody out there in SWTS land. It's just me again, people. Let's go. Let's do this. It's me in my Shin Hottie shirt. Check her out. Like it? You like me on vertical? You like me on horizontal? Doesn't matter. Here we go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Can people hear me on the verticals, by the way? Anybody? Me and my shin. Yep, sounds like you can. All right. Hey there, vertical crowd. Hey there, horizontal crowd. How we doing? Solo Matt, this is where the fun begins, Bat. And this is all day solo. So screw you, people. This could be a form of torture for some fans out there in SWTS Nation. But it's good to be here. Young Nick does not have work obligations. We are actually ready to rock and roll this week. Right at the go, right at 5 o'clock. But young Nick has contracted some form of space virus. He is out of commission, not feeling well. He's like, hey, I could come on, I could do this. And I feel like shit. I look like shit. I sound like shit. And I said, you know what, Nick, your shit is shit that I still appreciate. So if your shittiness is not preventing you from being on this shitty show, then please join me. But it was too much for the young lad, so he is out for the count. So you get me. You get me for, who knows, maybe 2 hours. There is plenty to talk about today. You know, we've been lamenting the fact that Star Wars news, for the most part, has been dead since the Acolyte. But that's kind of changing. I mean, things ramped up towards the end of last week, and then this week we're getting hit with all sorts of major announcements. Rey's in this movie, Rey's in that movie, Rey's in every damn movie. Rey is the only key ingredient Lucasfilm has moving forward for films. We got Simon Kinberg coming back to Star Wars with a new trilogy. Will it include Rey? Is it episodes 10 through 12? And yes, I know 10 through 12 still means 3 episodes, unlike some other Star Wars content creators that got a little upset last week and said 10 to 12, that's only 2 episodes. Well, we know who those type of people are. So if that's the content you like, then have at it, my friends. I understand why we like watching certain creators over others, but just remember, typically, if someone has a large following or has a large audience while they're live streaming, it may not mean that they are intelligent. They're just good at the game. And these days, the game is peddling hate and grifting off of it, but not here at the SWTS. We are 2 low-life, happy sacks of shit. All right? So, no vamping, no stalling for Nick to show up. We're going to run through the show just like we typically would. So we're going to start with Ask Us, getting some pop culture talk. Heretic, good movie. And then lots of Star Wars stuff. Andor Season 2, D23 Brazil reel to discuss. The Rey controversy. How many movies is she going to be in? What the hell is going on at Lucasfilm? Does anyone know? The Simon Kinberg trilogy. And then as an added bonus, because we didn't really know we were going to get hit with all these news stories, we got a special for you. We're going to go over 10, that's right, 10 of the more unique character design aspects from the Phantom Menace. So there's an article last week celebrating the 25th anniversary of TPM, featuring kind of the artists that helped bring all those characters to life and brought George's vision to the paper, then to the screen. So I found there's 10 cool little insights about the main characters. So Maul, Padme, the Jedi, you name it, that we can talk about. So that'll be our special topic. So we've got all sorts of shit to talk about this week. Bango, the difference is vertical, I'm up and down. Horizontal, I'm left to right. They are two different chats, but these days I think I can actually chat to everyone now. Let's try this out. I was trying this with Bat earlier, and you never know. With tech over here at the SWTS, shit tends to go off rails quickly. So let's see, does this still work? So I should be able to send a chat from one chat thingy, and then it should go to both the vertical stream and the horizontal. Let's see here. It does still work. Every time I say it, though, it says it's debugging the browser. So I don't know if that's a healthy thing to keep doing. Yeah. There you go, Bango. You are in the horizontal. And write your letters to your congressmen, your congresswomen, YouTube. Hell, what do we got now? The Department of Efficiency. So we can go with Elon and Vivek. Write them a letter and let them know that Google needs to fix YouTube multi-streaming so I can stream vertically and horizontally using one stream key and one chat. All right? It's not my fault. I am crossing streams. Hey, Marcos XD, what's going on there, homie? Welcome to the Star Wars Time Show. Marcos coming in on the vertical feed. That's how we try to, we're fishing out there trying to pull in new fans. Good morning to you as well, Marcus. Not sure where you're at. Maybe over there in the fatherland, as they used to say. All right, so let's get into it. Let's do a little Ask Us Anything. Like I said, no Nick today, so I don't have to piss around and delay until he's here saving the good stuff. So we can get right into it. So let's go ahead and we're going to get rid of this browser. And we're going to pop up the, bye-bye browser. And we're going to pop up our Ask Us Anything. We do it every week. I typically post the prompt in Instagram, but it has been going to our Discord, which if you're into Discord, you're on some servers, wanting to get a new server, right here, description section, link, open access, get to it. But we ask, it's just Ask Us Anything. We do it every week. It's literally anything you want to ask, and that's what we're going to get into right now. So we got Nova coming in asking, will Jaleel White's character in Skeleton Crew say, "Did I do that?" but in a serious manner? Your thoughts, Sniff. Well, Nova, I think in my notepad, I think Jaleel White's character will say, "Did I do that?" in a serious manner. Thank you. Your thoughts. So I don't know. I mean, listen, it's a kid's show, but the kids watching the show weren't kids when Family Matters or Family Matters, whatever the fuck it was out. But the people making the show probably were kids when the show was out, so I could see them doing that. But we've also, hopefully everyone's getting used to the fact that Star Wars creatives these days tend to shy away from what we would call as fans, like layup fan service. And what were we just talking about? There was something recently. I mean, even Bad Batch season finale. I mean, we could have got a lot of fan service there, wrapping up Cody's story, letting us know what happens to, Echo and the gang, that type of stuff. It just seems like Star Wars creatives in the 21st century, at least on TV, don't like to go for the easy stuff. Why do that? Why do something that could make the fans happy or scratch their nostalgia itches? But I could see that. And it's going to, I think his name is Gunter in Skeleton Crew, Jaleel White. So maybe it's more like, "Yo, did I do that?" after he blows someone's fucking head off. That ain't going to happen, but we can all dream, right? Okay. Next question. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Nova. I like that. So Nova on the stream. And by the way, if you're not on the stream, you want to try it out one day, good luck. It's the Wild West out here on the stream. But we do them every Wednesday, 5 p. Eastern, as close as we can get. YouTube.com/Star Wars Time Show. So if you're a traditional podcast listener of the SWTS and you want to get into the live stream, this is where to do it. All right. So Nova's saying, I'm thinking one of the kids could say, did I do that? And then Jaleel's character gives them a questioning look. That, my friend, I think is a very, very good speculation on how that could happen. I think that is the way to go. Marcos saying, ¿De qué hablas? I'm a stupid American, Marcos, so we don't have to learn multiple languages over here. But I think that says something about talking, right? Am I right? ¿De qué hablas? Or maybe I'm an asshole? Is that what that's saying? I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm going to need a translator for that, but we appreciate you showing up today. Anyone know what ¿de qué hablas means? Hopefully he's not calling me a pig fucker. All right. So, next question from the fans. What do we got? Oh, he's asking what I'm talking about. Marcos, we're just doing Ask Us Anything. So if you see the question down there, our fans have submitted questions to Ask My Dumbass, and I am responding. Thanks for that, League. Holy hell. Now we got another person. Now we got Bango coming in with, Wir sollten aus an der Sprachen probieren. You guys give me too much credit. I'm just an idiot that talks about Star Wars one day a week in his basement on a ratchety-ass chair that you can see peeling away behind me. So, yeah, I have no clue what you all are saying. Hopefully it doesn't get me thrown into prison. All right, next question here from Bat2797. Here's a good question. Why can't we stop buying Hot Toys? I know Bat was probably fucking around with this question, but it is kind of a good question. And I think there's definitely some psychology behind this for us collectors. I know for myself what makes it hard to stop buying any line of toys, and these days Hot Toys are my number one collectible. It's the psychosis that we all have had and have nurtured since we were probably kids. I have a feeling most hardcore collectors probably ended up this way because they had a parent that was also a goofy collector telling them like, hey son, you see this Kenner figure, in 50 years we'll be able to retire on it. That's kind of the shit I grew up with. And it took me many years before I could open stuff, but luckily I broke that conditioning. So it's some of that. It's the nostalgia of collecting and kind of getting that mental high. You do get a high in collecting when that new thing shows up, or back in the day when we could actually find stuff out in the wild when there were toy stores in America. That was a great fucking feeling, you know? I mean, it kind of felt like some drugs. You're out there, you're looking for something, you see the thing on the shelf, and you're like, is anyone else looking? Am I going to get it? Have I finally found it? Have I driven to enough Walmarts, Targets, Toys R Us's to find the grail? Yes. And then you get that feeling of euphoria. So it is. It's just like doing drugs or eating. It makes you feel a certain way. Okay? It gives you that fix without, say, needles or whatnot. So that fix can be strong. It can lead into FOMO, the fear of missing out. And then you start buying figures you probably don't even want, but you're scared to lose out on them. So you're going to buy them anyways. And then collectors can also get into the loop of, well, got to have them all. You know, the guy right here, Bat, that asked me, hey, why can't we stop buying Hot Toys? Dude literally just showed off, hey, I completed my original Trilogy Hot Toys shelf. That right there plays into it, why we can't stop buying them. Because it's like, well, I've got Han, I got Luke, I got Leia, but I need the droids. And now I need Darth Vader. And now I need Palpatine. And now I need Chewbacca. So, you got to finish the wave, as they used to say. So, like Bat's saying here, if you've got an addictive personality, as with anything in life, it's going to affect your collecting habit. I luckily have been able to limit it just to Hot Toys. Not that that's any sort of real progress, because they cost $250, $300 a pop. But it's better than where I was buying Funkos, Black Series, Hot Toys, you name it. So there you go. Yeah, Bango, we got it. We see you and your non-addictive personality as you are cracking some red to enjoy the SWTS. All right, good stuff there. Nice question there, Bat, even though it was kind of one to take a piss with. Okay, Beast Mobile 96, our man B-Mad coming through on YouTube. I know your favorite chain is Chipotle. Damn fucking Skippy. That bitch just hit $60 a share today too. So I'm winning when I go there to eat. I'm winning when I invest. But my question for you guys, and to this week he's talking about myself and the mouse in my pocket. His name is Skippy. Would you rather go on a cruise around the world for a year or a 3-month trip around the world via plane? Is it a private plane, I guess, B-Mad? I don't think he's in here yet. So that kind of affects the question here. Oh, yeah, look at Smith coming in here. You better collect those Legos, you son of a bitch. The Black Millennium Falcon. We all need it, right? We all need it. It's got a white Darth Vader minifig. Gotta have it. Gotta collect them all. But anyways, back to Beast Mobile. Love Chipotle. Amen. What would I rather do? Cruise around the world for a year or a 3-month trip around the world via plane? If it was a private plane, I'm taking the plane. The less travel, the better for me. I don't necessarily like going to places, if you know what I mean. I like my routine. I'm not a shut-in. I'm not a recluse, but I like knowing what's what. And I don't want to be away from my routine bubble for a year straight. So I'm going 3-month trip on a private plane. If it's commercial, fuck that. I guess I'll take the boat and hopefully we don't run into any icebergs. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's that. A good one there. Now you got me all thinking about Chipotle, though. I've already had it twice since Saturday. I have to have it at least once a week, people. That's like a non-negotiable. The only time I will not eat Chipotle on a weekly basis, and this is only because my wife bans it, and that's when we're on vacation in like another city or something. She's like, dude, can we like try some of the local fare? And I'm like, that's probably a good point, but I still want my Chipotle. I love it. Just wish the brisket didn't cost $12. Let's go, Mr. Chipotle. Well, I guess we're getting Biden out of the office, so all this shit's going to be cheap now, right? Right? My Chipotle's going down too, along with everyone's eggs and shit, right? I mean, that's worth it. That's worth bringing in a Trump regime. Get some cheap fucking burritos. Maybe they'll even fill them up bigger again, because everything's going to get better come January 21st. Yay! All right. So we got Smith choosing a plane. Smart guy. He's kind of like me. He doesn't want to be away from his gray skull for too long. Bat wants to bring a PS5 with him. All right, no problem. Let's see what we got next and ask us anything. Michael Kramer, 98. Should they keep the Rey movie and have it lead into the new trilogy or scrap it? I'll tell you what, Michael, you're a very astute ask us anything asker, because you typically key into one of our main topics. So I'm not going to ignore you. But we will be covering this, again, me and Skippy, we will be covering this in-depthly here in a little bit about the Rey movie. If you want a quick answer, no, don't scrap the Rey movie, because they don't know what the fuck's going on. So the Rey movie has at least been discussed multiple times and announced at a celebration, giving it more legs than the new trilogy we just heard about last week. But I'll get into this a lot deeper here in the next few segments. All right there, Kramer? All right, Spa Spencer coming in with the y'all. Excited for the return of Taco Bell's apple empanadas. I think we need to do a welfare check on the Spencer family. Okay? I think the Barons are eating too much Taco Bell. It seems every time Taco Bell has a new menu item or they're returning a menu item, Spencer is asking the world if we know about it. So I didn't even know Taco Bell made apple empanadas. But this goes in line with last week's discussion. I think one of you sick people asked me if I like fruit in a dessert or something like that. And I had to correct everyone that fruit is not a dessert. Warm fruit shouldn't be a thing. So no, I'm not excited for Taco Bell's apple empanadas. And I never would be. I don't even like their churros and shit. I mean, how I had Taco Bell for the first time in probably a couple years. That was about a month ago after Ohio State choked against Oregon to kind of, feel sorry for myself. And boy, did I feel sorry eating that shit. It really is. I'm not going to lie. I mean, no shit talk against Taco Bell. That stuff is good going down. But my stomach has not been knotted up like that for a long time. I mean, I was shitting sewage. So I think I'm going to keep passing on the T-Bell. And either just warm something up at home or, Chipotle, Qdoba, that type of stuff. The TB, I don't know. Just something in that. All the processed foods does not jive with my gut biome these days. Hey there, B-Mad, welcome. So B-Mad's going on a plane, the dude that asks us about planes and cruises. Smart man, smart B-Mad. All right, hey, look at this, Tones1138. We haven't seen Tones in a while. Good to see him. He usually pops up in the Discord. Like I said, if you want to come join the SWTS Discord community, we've got an open link in our YouTube description right here on the horizontal or the vertical live. How's it going out there, vertical crew? Anyone watching? All right, so Tones is asking, which master would you most like to teach you the ways of the Force to become a Jedi? It's a good question. I think what comes to mind right away, and I guess this doesn't work because he was never technically a master, but I would like to be just like Ahsoka, trained by Anakin. But since he is not a master, because of Mace Ass Windu, I think I'm going Qui-Gon. Over anyone else, over Obi-Wan, for damn sure over Mace Windu. Kit Fisto, he's just always grinning and looks fucking goofy. Plo Koon, you never really know what he's actually looking at with the mask he's got on. Dooku probably wouldn't have been bad, but that just plays into my answer because he trained Qui-Gon. So I think it's Qui-Gon Jinn. I liked his approach with the living Force. He definitely wasn't as anal as some of his predecessors like Mace Windu on all the laws and rules and all that stupid shit. So I'm going Qui-Gon Jinn, who we're going to talk about here a little bit later on down the road. So make sure to stay tuned so I can pay off on the tease. Hey there, B-Mad. We appreciate you, brother. Thank you for that super chat. B-Mad saying, thank you for spending the afternoon with us, needing a Star Wars break from reality. Well, pal, that's what we'll be doing in perpetuity, or at least until the channel gets shut down for not following great leader. You know what I mean? Who knows, dude? I'm with a lot of you. It's like we can pretend that things are going to be fine, but pretend is the key word there. So, but we're not going to talk about that shit. We'll stay away from it. This is our little Star Wars pop culture nonsense safe space these days, and we're going to keep it that way. Bango, he's going with Qui-Gon Jinn as well here in the live stream chat. Oh yeah, that's right. I can't click on that anymore. All right. So Bango also thinking Yoda would be good. I couldn't handle Yoda's fucking backspeak and the fact that he's just a shithead. I know I took it on the chin. I put out a clip, which, hey, we do throughout the week. If you don't like watching the full 2.5 hours of the show, which I do not blame you. I don't know if I could do it. I got to sit here and perform for 2.5 hours, and I don't know if I really like it. So I don't blame you that don't want to watch it. But if you do want to get some of the clips that at least our AI employee has identified as worthwhile to share, we share at least one clip a day, 7 days a week. So go check it out, because I was getting beat up on the fact that I called Yoda a hypocrite for using the line, do or do not, there is no try, over the fact that he just kind of quit after the fall of the Republic. I'll admit when I'm wrong. The people that commented are like, dude, he's not a hypocrite. He did the do not. So he's not a hypocrite. And I'm like, well, you know what? On semantics, you got me there, people. You got me there. B-Matt asking, Matt, not trying to get into it, but is there any pressure being political at your job? Just curious, professors get a bad rap. Yeah, we get a bad rap, and that's why I'm worried that I probably won't have a job in 4 years, because we're accused of wokeifying America or something like that. But no, I don't get any pressure. And I would tell you 95% of the shit you see in the media about higher education probably isn't real, or it is taken out of context, like a lot of things happen on that side of the political spectrum. I've never, in 15 years, I've never had anyone tell me what I need to say, what message I need to deliver, or how I need to deliver it. Yes, we have had some DEI training, but I don't necessarily think that's something that's evil, like more than half of the population here. As a white guy, I kind of like thinking about what it could be like to be in someone else's shoes that is not me, but that's me. I feel like I'm enlightened, that I'm able to think that way. Therefore, I'm able to be more open to a lot of this stuff that gets thrown around in higher ed. So there's that, but no pressure. And I would tell you, for the most part, faculty is usually a union job, and a union is never going to let any administration tell them what the faculty need to do. I can promise you that. Okay. Thank you. Yep, no pressure. No pressure. And it's just, listen, I think I even reveal too much on this show sometimes, and I'm probably going to scale that back moving forward, because I just don't trust who's listening and what can be done. So there's that. All right, there you go, Tones. Qui-Gon Jinn. Okay, thoughts on cryptids. Well, I don't even know what the fuck a cryptid is. So can someone help me with Scion XTC's question here? Anyone in the live stream? What the hell is a cryptid? I guess I could look it up real quick. Cryptids. Cryptids. Is it like an actual animal? Are these collectible? Cryptids, hairy humanoids, giant bats. I don't know what's going on here, Scion XTC, but it looks like cryptids are, I guess, like the taboo or the fake animals out there. Like, there we go. Yeah, Chupacabra. What's his name? Bigfoot. Yeah, Bigfoot. So, if the question is thoughts on cryptids, I don't know. I think it's horseshit for the most part, but could have existed at some point in time. I mean, hell, I do believe in evolution, so I could see some big ass hairy people walking around out in the woods. And really, anything in myth typically was derived from some form of reality. I mean, if you really think about it. So I could see some of these things existing. But a lot of our myths were also taken from, let's be real, I don't want to be mean, but low IQ humans for the time. We didn't really have science back then. And that's why things like religion popped up, to explain the unexplained and then to control. So I don't know, like, I'm not some angry ass, nothing, what you see is what's real. I mean, but the fact that the cryptids are in so many different mythologies, that it's hard to think that some version of these things didn't exist. Just low IQ humans didn't know how to explain them, and over time the stories, as stories tend, they change. They get, sensationalized, added to, kind of pumped up in a way that they start to deviate from reality. All right, how does that work? Yeah, Bigfoot, the missing link. Or people are accidentally tripping, yeah. Speaking of that, I had an interesting Saturday night this week. Let's just say I might have hit a usual dose, but might have hit a little more of the magic sauce than I was expecting. It was one of those, I was gripping on the reality for probably an hour, just wondering, like, all right, This wasn't what I was expecting, but I'll get through it, and I'm going to have a damn good time. And here we are. I'm back. But yeah, I'm a big fan of stuff that grows out of the earth. Let's just say that. Be it fungus or a weed of some sort. Okay, so you got me there, Scion. We worked through it. Cryptids. It's like, hey, sure. It's got to be rooted in reality somewhere. Back to the Baron family here. Y'all need to see The Substance. You can thank me later. Yeah, I have no clue what that could be. The Substance. Let's do a quick search on this. The Substance. That didn't work. The Substance. That worked. Okay, this looks like a movie. It's a movie. Is it old? Is it new? 2024? All right. Okay. Where can we watch this? On Mubi. What the hell is Mubi? You gotta give me a break. All right. Oh, okay. This just showed up on Netflix, I think. No, I think this just showed up on, I don't know. It showed up somewhere. Maybe Netflix. Demi Moore's in it. She's like an aging actress, and her agent's kind of giving her the hook, if you will. All right. Okay. All right, Spencer. I will add it to the list. I know I've seen it, scrolling through the 5,000 things I have to watch every night that I never end up watching. Hey, here we go. Bango. Question. I've been playing through the Uncharted games the last week or so. So, would you like to see something like that in the Star Wars universe? In which format do you think best suits it? Series, movie, game? I'll tell you right now, Bango, Star Wars Outlaws is Uncharted in Star Wars. 100%. It's like almost a knockoff of the Uncharted formula. The gameplay is very similar, so there's a focus on stealth. You're a thief, so you're going after shit to steal, just like Drake's doing. So we kind of got it, and I very much enjoyed Star Wars Outlaws, and I will return to it when some of the DLC starts dropping, because it is fun. It was such a good recreation of the Star Wars universe, and just living in it is a good time. You also got to think, since August, there's been multiple high-level patches coming through, so any of the BS that plagued Outlaws at launch should be gone. It should be pretty polished at this point in time, and I believe some of the new content is coming up, if not releasing already. Yeah, that's right, Mango. You gotta upgrade to one of the new consoles, or get a big boy or big girl PC for Outlaws. What's B-Man saying? Now that Nick isn't here, is Outlaws worth $70? Is it 70? Is that what it was? I can't even remember. Yeah, that's right. I guess new games are $69.99. Yeah, B-Matt, I think it is. I got 50 hours out of it, and I kind of rushed through the last two planets just because it wasn't that I was getting tired of it. I had some games on the back burner that I didn't finish, and I don't like leaving games unfinished. So once I really got a good feel for the game, lived in the game for around 50 hours, I decided to push through to the final campaign to end it. But to me, 50 hours of entertainment divided by 70 equals worth it. All right, that's how I would look at that. All right, there, Bango. Thanks for the question. Is that it? Did we get all the... I thought we had more questions. Huh? I guess that is it. All right. Kick ass! Kick ass! Bernie Mac. All right, let's turn our Slack off. Let's get the browser back up. It's time for some pop culture talk. And this week I got one for you, and it was a good one. Boy, oh boy. I really think A24 may be one of the best indie studios on the planet these days. I don't even know if we can call them indie. But their latest, Heretic, starring Hugh Grant and a Star Wars actress. It was the female Vespa leader from the Book of Boba Fett series. But Heretic is a banger. I love this movie, and I think Hugh Grant just absolutely fucking killed it. Like, Hugh Grant was great. Great! And you know what? This isn't even this fits the show. There's always time for Star Wars time, and he does a goddamn Jar Jar Binks impression in this movie. That's how amazing his performance is and how cool this movie is. But in all seriousness, the Jar Jar thing actually does kind of work, because what he's saying, and it probably could happen one day, is that, you know, one day Jar Jar Binks could become a god. Because what Heretic is, I know it's billed as a horror film. I would say it's more of a thriller, more of a psychological thriller. There's not a lot of hacking, slashing, and whacking, if you know what I mean. It's not very violent and bloody. It's all mental. And basically you have Hugh Grant playing this Mr. Reed guy that gets visited by two young female missionaries trying to sell him on the Book of Mormon, and things kind of play out from there. I really like the way religion plays a role in this film and how religion kind of becomes the main topic. I love the way it gets analyzed through this movie and its characters. I think it brings up a lot of great points about religion and the iterative nature of religion, and how, you know, the first religion and then the second religion built on that, and the third religion built on that. I mean, it's basically, you know, you had Judaism was the first to believe in the one God, and then from there Christianity and Islam. It's just good. A lot of good kind of make you think type of dialogue happening in Heretic, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat. Like, all right, what's going to happen? What choice are they going to make? What really is going on? What is Hugh Grant's character's end game here? So I thought it was a very well done movie. Not that it should matter to you, but I think it's tracking at like a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. You should only care about what I think, and I think it's 2 thumbs up. I probably would give it an 8.5 out of 10. It's damn good, and Hugh Grant and really the two females, they're fantastic. Just really, really good at setting the tension, making you feel. But also, it's not a thriller just to scare you and get your heart rate up. It'll make you think. And a lot of the stuff they say about religion, I was like, yeah. It really started to resonate. So I encourage you all to go check this one out. Another winner from A24. Yeah, that's right. B-Matt, I am greater than IGN. And, you know, I'll go ahead and say this. My therapist has been kind of reminding me that I do have a drive and a willpower that is unhuman-like. But I've been reviewing and doing shit for years, and have just never caught on. I don't really know why. I mean, either you all are the suckers that have become fans of mine, or I truly am being held back by the algorithms. I don't know what to tell people anymore. I know you're probably like, yeah, right, you don't like tooting your horn. I mean, I do play a little bit of a cocky asshole on this show, but typically I don't really partake in that type of stuff. But there are times it's like, well, how many people can I have tell me that they enjoy this shit and it still doesn't break through to a bigger audience? I used to review movies all the time on Entertainment Buddha, all the time. I got it down to, 2 minutes or less. I would bust out a review, what you need to know, wham, bam, thank you, man, go see it or not. But I digress. We're here. We're having fun. There's always time for Star Wars time, right? Okay. Well, since we don't have to wait on Nick, I think it's time to get into a little bit of Star Wars time, people. And we're going to start with this new trilogy that was announced last week through Deadline, being helmed by Simon Kinberg. If you have not checked it out yet, me and Skippy, we have been posting more to StarWarsTime.net. At the end of every show, we're like, oh, hey, go to StarWarsTime.net, and it's basically a dead site. So I'm trying to fix that. I'm trying to add more content there. So over the last week, we put up this Simon Kinberg article. We did an article on Andor, and then an article on the Phantom Menace, an article on Rey. We're killing it. We are killing it. Algorithm, it's got me. But anyway, so over here on StarWarsTime.net, I ran with the story from Deadline about Simon Kinberg. And I am using AI to help me, but I think it helps everyone digest the information a lot better. If you just go through here and read the article, which I'll do for you now, you can see that the key points are nicely summarized, no bullshit. You kind of get like a TLDR type of report. So I'm digging this new style of covering Star Wars. And what's even better, some of the stuff, not the Simon Kinberg article, but the Rey and the TPM, I can deploy our new, and yes, new, we have new staff members here. I can deploy our new artificial Scott and Sally podcast hosts. That's right. They've been named. I was going to go with artificial Bob and Sally, but League of Extraordinary Sixers decided that Bob should be a Scott. So if you start going on to our YouTube channel now and seeing content that says AI podcast series, we actually have a whole new podcast on YouTube dedicated to artificial Scott and Sally. Right now, they have 3 shows up there. They have a show explaining who is Hondo Ohnaka. They have a show talking about the 25th anniversary character design celebration of the Phantom Menace. And then today, we've got Scott and Sally talking about this movement behind Rey and how she is supposedly the key to Star Wars movies moving forward. All right. I think I'm just going to turn on the auto chat bubble since I don't have Nick to kind of look at some shit. So your messages are just going to start popping up on screen. I'll try my best to catch ones that warrant a response. How's that sound? I think I'm going to hide this thing too. All right, but thank you. Ben Rye, most Star Wars fans are busy complaining to watch positive, balanced views. That's for damn sure. That is for damn sure. So let's get into this. What is this Simon Kinberg shit? Hey there, Cole, coming in from Scotland. Good to see you, pal. But anyways, here's the lowdown. Lucasfilm and Kathleen Kennedy have officially signed a deal with Kinberg to write and produce 3 new Star Wars movies. That, in and of itself, is growth, my friends. The fact that KK finally figured out that if you're going to make more than one Star Wars movie and they need to be connected, that you probably should have a single voice doing it. And that is what's happening with this newly announced trilogy. So Simon Kinberg is coming in as the lone writer to write these 3 new Star Wars movies. Okay? Now, here's what we don't know yet. There are rumors going out there that what Simon is working on are actually going to be episodes 10, 11, 12. Therefore, continuing the Skywalker saga, or at least its nomenclature through the Roman numerals numbering here. But there are others that are talking about, like, no, this is going to be a brand new storyline running parallel to other projects like the James Mangold Dawn of the Jedi, the Charmin Oboid Chinoy Rey movie, Taika's movie, Donald's movie. And honestly, in all these articles coming out, guess whose name has not been announced as being attached to Star Wars films, who we heard previously to be attached to a trilogy, in fact? Rian Johnson. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm actually thinking Simon Kinberg could be taking over the planned trilogy that Rian Johnson was given to him after TLJ came out, but before the public saw it and lit it on fire. Because you got to remember, the press, the people at Lucasfilm, they were touting The Last Jedi as like, this is it. I mean, this essentially fell right out of George's ballsack. This is Star Wars. We love this guy. You're going to love Rian. You're going to love him so much. You're going to love this movie so much. We're giving him a trilogy. Done deal. Well, guess what? That has not been talked about for years. In fact, I think his trilogy was just now supposed to be coming out. So I think Simon is more than likely taking over the trilogy that Rian Johnson was gifted. I do not think it's going to be episode 10, 11, and 12. And, you know, yes, it could be. But did Lucasfilm not go out of their way when The Rise of Skywalker came out to say this is the end of an era? This is the end of the Skywalker saga? blah, blah, blee, blue, blah. You know what I mean? So maybe they'll stick to that. Maybe they won't. Things change always. I mean, shit, people can change their tune left and right on stuff far more important than science fiction movies. So it could happen. But I do think Kinberg is getting this new trilogy. It is going to be set post The Rise of Skywalker. And I do, once we get to the Rey story, I think Rey will be involved. I don't think she's going to be the main of Simon Kinberg's trilogy. So if you don't know who this guy is, he's got some Star Wars history behind him, a very strong pedigree, if you will. This dude co-created Star Wars Rebels, all right? Simon Kinberg co-created Star Wars Rebels, one of the best animated Star Wars franchises on the planet. I mean, outside of only having 4 seasons, it is right there toe-to-toe with the Clone Wars in terms of quality, content, stories told, lore added, world build, character developed. I mean, Star Wars Rebel was awesome. So the fact that this guy who helped co-create, he wasn't just a name, he wasn't just a producer, he was a co-creator of Star Wars Rebels with Filoni. That's a good sign. He's got Star Wars history. He's worked on what a lot of fans consider to be a very good Star Wars franchise in Rebels. So that, to me, is a good sign. That, to me, is Kathy and Lucasfilm starting to kind of read the tea leaves. You know what? Let's start bringing in... Fuck giving movies to this person, that person, just because it may be their first film or the first man that has one eye to do a Star Wars movie. Let's give it to those creatives that eat, sleep, die, breathe Star Wars. Simon Kinberg is one of those dudes. I mean, this dude is in like pop culture. He's in an upper echelon of pop culture creation. I mean, this dude worked on X-Men movies, Deadpool films, The Martian, the Sherlock Holmes with RDJ. I mean, the guy has got an impressive track record. And the fact that he's bringing this to Star Wars to work on a trilogy is pretty freaking awesome. Hey, by the way there, hey, kudos Mandalorian Solo. We speak your name. Welcome to the club. So I think that's huge. Just Simon's past with Star Wars. I like I said, I do not think this new trilogy is going to continue the Skywalker saga in a 10, 11, 12 format. But I do think Rey will be involved, and I'll kind of dive into that a bit more deeper when we get to the Rey story here. But I do think this new trilogy is going to be its own thing, set after the sequel trilogy in that era. Hopefully, like some of you have said, or maybe you've been thinking, hopefully in a timeline where we don't have to worry about it becoming the Jedi versus the Sith again. Let's bring in a new threat that has to fight these new Force users that Rey has been training, or whoever makes up the crux of this new trilogy. Let's try to get away from some of the Sith stuff. All right? Unless it's something innovative and not somehow XXXXX has returned. You know what I mean? So he's got the experience. He's got experience working on mega franchises. So you know this isn't going to intimidate him. He's not scared of doing this type of shit. Right now he's working on the remake of The Running Man. So this dude has got some legitimacy behind him. His pedigree really makes me feel good about this report. I really do. I hope this turns into something. That's the other thing we got to question. I mean, I just told you Rian Johnson at one point in time was officially announced to have a trilogy. That disappeared. I know the Taika movie is still somewhat in development. The Sean Levi movie still in development. Rogue Squadron still in development. Lando still in development. Are we catching on here? Everything's still in development. This is one that I really hope makes the grade because of Simon's past work with Star Wars, his career-long work in the pop culture space. I just think he knows how to tell good stories. I really do. I really do. That's right, B-Mad. Hopefully he's not the hero we need. He's the hero we deserve. That is right. And out of all of the announced projects, this is the one I feel the best about, I have the most hope for, and I have probably the highest expectations to be a banger, just because of Simon's past work with Star Wars and just his seemingly excellent track record in all things nerd geek. Now, in terms of when are we going to see this shit, people, they can't even get the Rey movie off the ground, and that was supposed to hit theaters December of 2026. If they somehow figure that shit out and find a writer to replace the 3 writers that have already left, and they start shooting early in, let's say early in 25, you could get it done by the end of the 26, but I think a lot hinges on that Rey movie in terms of these plans. We know Mando and Grogu, they're humming along. They showed off the same sizzle reel at D23 Brazil that we saw over the summer. They're still shooting. So I think that movie's going to hit its May 2026 release. Outside of that, it's a crapshoot. It is a crapshoot. Hey there, Michael Kramer. Welcome to the chat there. Thank you for that super chat, buddy. The Cowboys are trash. That is true. I mean, when you have your star quarterback on the sideline saying we fucking suck or we're fucking garbage, that's bad. So good luck. The Steelers are surprising me every week. I am Team Russ now. Still think Mike Tomlin's overrated. Maybe I'll change my tune at the end of the season. We'll see. But good to see you there, Kramer. But I do think that Simon's trilogy on paper has the most potential. In terms of a release, honestly, since it hasn't even been officially announced by Lucasfilm, this was just reported in the trades here, I think 2030 at the earliest. 2030 at the earliest. And that's probably too aggressive. All right, see you, Kramer. Nick is on bed rest, so I'll let him know you swung through here. See what you miss, you podcast-only people. It's like just random people pop in. It's kind of like Pee-wee's Playhouse, you know what I mean? We're going to have to start having a word of the week. And B-Mad said it. It's sharing. Ah! I'm sure not many people got that reference. Go check it out. Pee-wee's Playhouse. Choice shit. What sucked the most about my youth is I had CCD on Saturdays, so I had to miss Saturday morning cartoons in Pee-wee's Playhouse. But luckily, my dad's a degenerate and recorded it for me. So, thank you. I know you are, but what am I? All right, some other things you might be asking yourself about this Simon Kinberg trilogy. Will he be directing any of the films? Well, at this point in time, the source does not know. He is just confirmed as writer and producer, which I think is great. I'm fine if he doesn't direct. Actually, don't direct. Use all of your superpowers on the writing and production. Remember, and I know a lot of you don't know this, George Lucas only directed 4 Star Wars movies. Okay, the prequels, and then A New Hope. And if you're honest with yourself, even you young gens, if you're honest with yourself and you think about at large, what movies does the Star Wars community think are the best? More than likely, you're going to hear Empire Strikes Back #1, Return of the Jedi #2. Lord George did not direct those. Okay? Are we connecting the dots yet? So I'm all right if Simon, as the writer-producer, does not want to direct. Give it to a director. Let the director do their shit. All right? Enough of this bullshit. I'm going to write and direct. I mean, that's what they did to JJ. That's what they did to Ryan. I think that's too much. And I think that's when the creatives get a little too artsy-fartsy, if you will. Yeah, that's fine. Be mad. In your world, Rots will always be #1. Definitely is not in mine and most people's that can look at that movie without rose-colored lenses. I do love you, Be Mad. All right, so there you go. That's the lowdown on the new Star Wars trilogy from Simon Kinberg. And you know what? I'm going to go right over to the Rey story because it does kind of just tie into this. And it further, I think sadly it further showcases how disastrous the movie making process is over at Lucasfilm. I mean, I'm never going to be one of these mouth breathers. It's like, oh, Kathleen Kennedy's fucked everything up because she's a woman. I don't think it has anything to do with her being a woman, but I think we all need to start questioning her ability to manage a large studio like Lucasfilm that has gold to spin. And for some reason, spinning that gold is nearly impossible. That's the problem with her management, not so much that she is a female. Actually, it has nothing to do with her gender. I think she's got a little too cute. I think like a lot of America, she was under the impression that America was leaning as a whole a bit more towards the left. I think it's pretty clear now after last week where this place is at and wants to be. So maybe they'll take the cues. Who knows? But I think on paper, the way this Simon Kinberg trilogy has been explained to us from the sources, I think it's pretty damn promising. Yeah, Bat saying, I know older fans hate Rey, but the younger ones, like my kids, like her, and we need to just embrace her. Hey, you speak for yourself. I love Rey. You know what was wrong with Rey? The fucking idiots writing her in the last two movies. Well, really the last movie. I mean, I was fine with what Ryan was doing, keeping her a nobody. Actually, I think that was the way to go. It's Tross that ruined that character. But I think Rey is great. And if you really want to be honest with yourself, she's no fucking different than Luke Skywalker. She just happens to have a vagina. So I think she's fantastic, so much so that my kid got her name as a middle name. Well, speaking of Lady Rey, let's switch right on over there. So like I said, if you want to dive more into this type of stuff outside of what my dumbass is just saying on the podcast, we've got an article up on StarWarsTime.net. Or even better, this one, we've got Artificial Sally and Scott breaking it down for you. Is Rey the future of Star Wars? I don't know. Let's check this one out because the way the industry is writing about her and kind of corroborating some of these stories coming out of Lucasfilm, it seems, at least in Lucasfilm's eyes, Rey Skywalker is the future of Star Wars. All right. So, speaking of the Simon trilogy we just talked about, like I said, there is a debate going on. It's like, whoa, Simon. Okay, if you're making a trilogy post The Rise of Skywalker, doesn't Rey kind of have to be involved? It's a fair question. Definitely a fair question. But we don't know. We just don't know. Like I told you, I don't think Kinberg's is going to be a continuation of the trilogy. I think it's going to be something separate. And from what I've heard, Rey could potentially be used in the trilogy and maybe even some other projects that we're going to talk about. It's kind of like an Obi-Wan Kenobi mentor type of figure. So not the main, not the lead, not the one doing the stuff, but the one maybe pushing other characters to do certain things, to kind of kick off their journeys. You know what I mean? Yeah, Ben's right. Ben right here on the chat saying Grifter's seeing big bucks with the Rey news. Oh, I'm sure Theory, all of them are blasting this shit all over their channels the past 2 weeks on how Rey is considered to be the end-all, be-all. So you're right. There's definitely some grift probably going on here. So yeah, there's a lot of people who's like, hey, the Rise of Skywalker, that should be the last Skywalker movie. Rey should be in her own movie that's already been announced. We don't want to dilute the impact of the original saga any further. But what the Hollywood Reporter is telling us here, at least from their insiders, that Rey is considered an MVP cinematic asset for Lucasfilm. Like, she is the character they consider to be their golden pony at this point in time. You know, her popularity, the connection to the Skywalker legacy, it makes her a crucial figure in future projects, both the Kinberg trilogy and the standalone Rey movie. One insider went as far to say she is the most valuable cinematic asset, in some ways maybe the only one Star Wars has right now. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, if you want to get away from the Skywalker saga, that's definitely a true statement. All the other Skywalker characters are gone. They were whacked out in the sequel trilogy. So I know she's not a Skywalker by birth, but as much as you people don't want to accept it, Lucasfilm has dubbed her a Skywalker, and she is moving forward as one. And she's going to be in a lot more movies than we may have expected. She's got potential for this trilogy. She's obviously going to be in her own movie that is being directed by Charmine. So why is all this stuff happening? Why is there no clarity? What the hell is going on at Lucasfilm when it comes to these projects? Well, one challenge that was brought up in this new report is that Lucasfilm is facing these challenges of creating compelling stories and characters that can stand alongside the iconic characters from the OT, right? All the beloved characters are gone. They're not available for new stories. A few are, but not the mains. So there's a void that's become difficult to fill for Lucasfilm. You know, they have sources noting that, hey, Star Wars heavily relies on nostalgia. And Lucasfilm and the creatives they are hiring are running out of ways to create new nostalgia. So I can't necessarily deny that. I know a lot of times when I get the most moved by Star Wars, it is going to be nostalgia. And we've gotten it a little bit. Luke showing up in the end of season 2 of Mandalorian. C-3PO showing up in season 3 of The Mandalorian. Stuff like that. I mean, think about what that makes you feel like, especially if you're in the older generations of fandom. Nostalgia is strong in Star Wars. But Lucasfilm can't really figure out how to create new nostalgia. Even the stuff I talked about, it's in new properties like The Mandalorian, but it's still kind of relying on that Skywalker punch. So, you know, with all this Rey stuff and Rey being the most important cinematic character and Rey needing to kind of drive Star Wars cinema returning, are we going to see conflicts between the trilogy and the standalone Rey movie? Well, there's no confirmed conflict at this point in time. But you got to think about it. Whenever we're trying to simultaneously develop a Star Wars trilogy, a Rey movie, there's going to be some questions being raised. And how's this going to be done? How's Rey's story going to unfold in an acceptable manner if she's required in this standalone movie, but then required in this trilogy? You got to think about schedules. You got to think about the writers lining up their stories. Like, oh shit, Simon wants to do this in the trilogy, but Charmine wants to do this in the standalone. This starts to beg the question, like, are we just getting back to a sequel trilogy problem where we got too many cooks in the kitchen, too many projects being worked on at once? Should we maybe, pause, get one of these things done, and then write the trilogy? You know, why don't we get the Rey movie out there and establish Rey as the new Rey, and then let's see how she fits into the trilogy? Seems like that makes sense, but a lot of times over at Lucasfilm, at least from a business standpoint and a production standpoint, they don't necessarily believe in making a lot of sense. So you're like, well, hey, Matt, is this how it is with all big properties? Is this how Marvel makes their movies and assigns creatives to new projects? Well, it doesn't sound like it. It sounds like Star Wars is operating in a unique development ecosystem that involves multiple projects being in development at the same time with overlapping characters and timelines. All right, so you have to understand this can create some very complex decisions that need to be made across these different productions. It just is what I was saying. It's like, oh shit, Charmine's doing this, but we want to do this. Is it going to line up? Yes or no? Well, shouldn't we have figured that out beforehand? I mean, if you read some of the rumors, one of the big reasons Colin Trevorrow eventually got washed out of making episode 9 is I think he just started questioning Lucasfilm a bit. Like, hey, Ryan's doing this, but I was hoping to do that. And they're like, well, fuck you. This is what's happening. You need to tell the story after the way Ryan delivers it. And I think that's where we got into the, you know what, we're just not seeing eye to eye anymore. if you want, you can say you got rid of me, but I'm just going to walk away and take my writer's fee or whatever I was paid to work on this project. So it doesn't sound like we've learned anything at Lucasfilm. We're still developing multiple different movies at the same time, using characters that are going to overlap, timelines that are going to overlap, and I don't think Simon is sitting in the standalone Rey writer's room, and I doubt their writers will be in his room. So that could be problematic. That can be problematic. I mean, just look at it. We've been talking about, look at the projects out here right now. We got Simon Kinberg, Trilogy, that could feature Rey. We've got Sharmina Boyd-Chinoy. She's doing the standalone Rey movie that just lost its second round of writers. James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi. We got Taika. They're still listing that as an official project. Sean Levy, the Deadpool and Wolverine dude, still developing a Star Wars movie. Donald Glover's Lando project is a movie. And as some of you may have seen on socials this week, Rogue Squadron, the one by, Patty Jenkins, is still in development. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 movies in development that could all be taking place during the same timeline in Star Wars using the same characters. That could be a recipe for disaster. Or if managed correctly, we could be in store for 10 years of peak Star Wars content. Getting away from the Skywalker saga, creating new nostalgia and a new era with new characters. That to me is exciting. But it's hard for me to keep these fanboy glasses on after all these years of having projects announced and then they don't turn into anything. So Lucasfilm, to me, they are the studio that cries wolf. And until I see a trailer, we'll talk about them on the show, but I am not going to invest any of my fanergy into getting hyped for it. Okay, so kind of building into the problems they're facing at Lucasfilm, it stems back to the original trilogy. I mean, to some people, to Hollywood, to creatives, to humans, the original Star Wars trilogy is sacred. So much so that it's been compared to the Old Testament. And so if you think about that, George created the Old Testament. He created a fucking Bible. And he did. He literally did. People are going to study this until we completely annihilate the planet. So I do kind of emphasize with these new creatives, these new filmmakers that are feeling this immense pressure to create the New Testament. All right. So these you never know. Maybe that's why they fuck up. Maybe that's why they wash out. The pressure's too much. They don't feel like their story is actually going to lead to the creation of the New Testament. So they're like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not good enough. I'm out. And that is a problem. That is a problem. Fortunately, we do have a wing of Star Wars that has had some success, in quotes, veering away from the Skywalker saga. Andor, The Acolyte, The Mandalorian, all these for the most part detached from the Skywalker saga outside of Mando. It decided to start cheating at the end of season 2 there. Still not sure why they needed to. They definitely didn't, but they cheated. But you can, the Tony Gilroys of the world, the Leslie Headlands of the world, they can create Star Wars stories that aren't directly attached to the Skywalker saga. Now, will the fandom accept them? You'll have people now. I even saw some people in the stream today. Ooh, Andor, can't wait. Andor. When Andor comes out, you'll have a large group of people like, Andor sucks. Andor's not Star Wars. Andor looks too real. They have bricks. They have screws. So you just don't know. You just don't know. And really, what we're going to leave this on, and what we just have to hope Lucasfilm figures out, is that they really need to decide, are we going to keep continuing on the Skywalker saga, or are we going to hunker down and create entirely new standalone stories? So they got to figure out a way to balance our desire for nostalgia with the need to create these new, fresh narratives that should shape and determine the future of Star Wars. Bad. There are no bricks in Star Wars. I don't really love that the chat just kind of comes up because I'm missing it here or there. But like I said, I don't have an assistant this week to monitor things. So I'm trying to read the chat as I'm trying to speak without saying a bunch of uhs, right, like, Okay, so you're getting your voices out there. But I may not be directly replying to a lot of your chats because they just auto pop up in my window, the overlay there. And then once the next chat comes in, they'll get taken down unless I wipe one away if it's been up there too long. So there you go. I've caught you up on the Simon Kinberg. I caught you up on the Rey is the future of Star Wars movies. Let's go to that Andor, right? Fuck the Empire, as Marva said, and then Lucasfilm said, no, you can't swear in Star Wars except you can say hell, right? Han Solo has done it, you sons of bitches. All right, Andor. Here we go. What happened to my screen here? Hold on a sec. My screen is not updated over on the vertical stream. Timeout. Double timeout. Hopefully we'll do a time in here in a second. All right, that was weird. There we go, people. There's always something here at the SWTS, you know what I mean? Don't say Slave One. I always say Slave One. That's the name of the ship, okay? All right, so Andor Season 2. We actually got some real news out of it, and this came out of last weekend. We were having D23 Brazil. So we got the release date, and it's earlier than I expected. It's coming out April 22nd, 2025. I think the reason for that is that in my head, I feel like that's going to line up with Star Wars Celebration Japan. I think that's when Celebration 25 is taking place. So more than likely, the reason Andor Season 2 is going to be releasing in April of next year is because of that. That's going to be the big bang. I'm sure they'll have a panel there, and the guests there will probably get to watch the first 2 episodes before everyone else when it streams on Disney+. So we got its release date, April 22, 2025. I also saw a lot of news in quotes coming out about Andor Season 2, the fact that it's 12 episodes long. Guess what? We've been saying that since Andor Season 1. Check notes. Star Wars Time Show's got you covered. There's always time for Star Wars time. We don't say that for fun, people. We've got you covered. We knew it was 12 episodes. We told you it was 12 episodes over a year ago. You know what else is being reported? Every 3 episodes going to cover a year. Guess who reported that years ago? This guy in his Shin Hati shirt. That's right. So just in case you weren't paying attention, or if you're like most Americans and you can't process information and retain it, not speaking to you lovelies on the live stream. I know you're with me here. The 12 episodes is going to cover 4 years. Every 3 episodes is a year. I think one of the 3 episode arcs will solely focus on him connecting with K2. The last 3 episodes, so 10, 11, 12, those will literally lead Cassian right to the mission where he's headed to that moon world to go get the intel from Saul's guy that he ultimately kills. All right, so there we go. Will they cuss in Skeleton Crew? No. You might get a dank ferric. You might get some in-universe swears, but nothing English-based or basic, whatever we want to call it. All right, so we get the release date, April 22, 2025. The way they're rolling these days, is it going to be a 2-episode premiere? What do we got? We got a 3-episode premiere for Andor Season 1. So this one, I think, will come down to Lord Gilroy. I think Lord Gilroy will be the ultimate decision maker here because it's going to base on how is his story going to get cut up. So I could see Andor Season 2 premiering with 3 episodes to take us right through one of the years that Season 2 is going to cover. So we'll see what happens when that comes out. Yeah, Ben's asking, I'd love to see Jinn again, but she just doesn't make sense for the story. I think the only way to work her in that would be cool without her dominating an episode or the series would be if we just casually see her with Saul, because she may still be hanging with Saul at this point in time, or maybe she has left and started doing her ne'er-do-well type of stuff. But if Jinn's featured in any ways, it has to be pure cameo to the point where she doesn't even have a line. I mean, it could be maybe the Rebels have something up on the HoloNet with her image on the background that, we know what that means. We know that's ultimately going to lead to her rescue mission, but I don't think it gets much more detailed than that if Jinn shows up in Season 2. All right, so we got the release date, April 22, 2025. But we also got a sizzle reel, which is actually, I'm going to hide it on this stream. Knowing these people, they'll arrest me. But the sizzle reel, it was for all Disney Plus stuff kind of coming up. But we got our first look at Andor Season 2. There's definitely a few scenes in there that I'm going to cover briefly, and we'll kind of do that now. There wasn't really much that I think we can really start to speculate on. But we did get a few shots. The world's looking great. Cassian's looking great. I love the color palettes that Tony and his team are going with. I mean, really, every still just felt like, fuck, this is lived in Star Wars. This is Gilroy Star Wars. We're coming back. Bat in the chat here saying, I'd like to see Andor cross paths with Han and Chewie. I saw you bring that up in the Discord, Bat, and it's not going to happen. I hate to bust your bubble there. But you got to think, at this point in time, Han and Chewie, their job is number one, motherfucker. So they're out there smuggling. They had no real interest in the rebellion, even when they were working with the princess. At least Han did not. So I don't know story-wise how they would make sense. Unless Han was dropping off another shipment of coaxium, but I don't think they're going to do it. That is so out of Tony Gilroy's character, Bat. You should know better, okay? You should fucking know better. There's no way Lord Gilroy is bringing in some all-stars, especially if he has to use Alden Ehrenreich. No way, says Tony Gilroy. All right, let's take a look at a few of these slides here. Okay. Might not see the chat for a little bit, so bear with me, people. But, what do we have, like 12, 15 or so stills from the sizzle reel. We got to look at Cassian with some dialogue. Let's make it worth it. Okay. We see some stormtroopers. It looks like they're putting down some happy horse shit on a planet. I don't know if this planet, it doesn't look like Ferrix. But it definitely looks like it's an Imperial occupied planet, as most would be at this point in time. And the people seem to be acting a bit unruly. You got to remember, the end of Andor Season 1 was kind of a flare to the rest of the galaxy. Like, listen, we are ready to start rebelling. All these cells are done being cells. What they did on Ferrix was the first kind of FU to the Empire. And they're probably going to pay for it dearly. But what that act did, what those people of Ferrix did, is they sent the signal to everyone else looking to turn the tide against the Imperial forces. So we're going to see a lot of civil unrest in Andor Season 2, and I think that's what we're getting here. There's some shit going down in a town square, and the stormtroopers are being brought in to deal. All right, we got Bix talking to somebody. She's saying we need a pilot. I don't know if she maybe this is a mission. Maybe she's just trying to get away. You got to remember, Bix got fucked up in Season 1. She was the one captured by Deidre and essentially had her mind nuked in that helmet, listening to the screams of that one alien race. So is she going to be involved in rebellion? I don't know. Maybe because of what was done to her and her planet, and seeing Cassian's happy-go-lucky dumbass finally get involved in it, maybe that will motivate her. But they need a pilot for something, and it could be the mission we see coming up in the sizzle reel of what has to be a TIE Avenger. That's right, the TIE Avenger. I believe the TIE Avenger ultimately becomes the TIE Advanced, but this could be the first TIE Avenger we are seeing in live action. All right, you ship people out there, you might know more than me, but I believe the TIE Avenger, this would be the first time in live action. It's definitely not a TIE Interceptor, you can tell that. And it's not fully like Vader's TIE Advanced. That's why I think it is the Avenger. So maybe the pilot Bix is talking about ends up being Cassian to steal a TIE Avenger. So we do get some shots of Cassian in the cockpit of this. He's definitely somewhere he should not be. Like Anakin in the Phantom Menace, it looks like he even blows himself an exit to steal this ship. So, is he stealing it for the rebellion? Is that why they needed a pilot? Or is he stealing it as a form of escape? So that's something to think about. And throughout the sizzle reel, we do get some dialogue being spoken from Luthen. There's a scene between Luthen and Cassian where Luthen's like, "You're thinking like a thief." And Cassian says, "I'm thinking like a soldier." And Luthen ultimately, we'll finish that after we get through a few slides. He says, "You need to think like a leader." But the next still we have Cassian. He seems to be in the same town square that we just saw a few slides ago. And he's getting mixed up in the fun. He's doing some blasting, if you will. He could be the reason that the stormtroopers we saw in the first still of the trailer are starting to be unleashed upon these citizens. And really, if we look at this still, it's not Ferrix. They are on a different planet. It seems to be a bit more cultured and not as backwoods as Ferrix. I do not think this is Coruscant, though. So there's definitely some shit going down. You can see we have explosions. Troopers are all lined up, forming kind of a shooting line, or their ranks, their formations. So Cassian's here. There's probably other rebels here. The question is why? Why are they here? You got to think about it. The rebel cells at this point, they're going to be more coordinated. They're going to be going after bigger targets, bigger wins, which means bigger stakes. So are they here to get the TIE Avenger? Are they here to steal some secrets? Are they here to smuggle someone, either get a prisoner back from the Empire, or maybe smuggle an Imperial to question them? So that should be interesting to think about there. Okay, so moving right along with the last few stills here from the Andor Season 2 sizzle reel. There we go, like Luthen said. He's telling Cassie, you need to think like a leader. Stop it. Stop thinking like a thief. I don't need you to think like a soldier either. I need you to think like a leader. And ultimately, we know Cassian does get there by the end of Rogue One. There's a shot of Cassian in what appears to be, he's going to have at least four jackets. Right, people? Is he going to get a new jacket every year of the story being told? But if you look closely here, this is Yavin. So, and we knew, Tony told us we would make it up to where the rebels start amassing on Yavin at the Masas temples. So you can see one of the temples in the back. You can see a lot of the rebels gearing up. They don't quite have their rebel garb yet. We don't see a lot of orange pilot suits or shit like that, but I'm pretty sure this is Yavin 4, the early stagings or the early massing of the troops. Here, like I said, Bix, she doesn't look well, which is expected. She had her mind nuked by the Empire. But it's not clear. She, in every still I saw, it does feel like she's trying to run from something or get away from something. I'm just not sure if that's getting away from Cassian and rebels and potentially getting in trouble, or doing rebellious stuff and trying to get away from the Empire. There he is again, Cassian in the TIE Avenger. This is the way he's making that face. To some of you, it might look like he's trying to take a massive shit, or that he's impacted, and like Ronnie the limo driver, he needs to stick his hand up there to clear himself. But I think this is when he shoots a hole in the hangar door and then is like, fuck it, let's go, and just takes off. You know what I mean? This is his fuck it, I'll do it live face. And then they saved the best screen for last, K2SO, and he does appear to be on Coruscant. So maybe this is K2SO going to Cyril Karn's apartment to smash his face in or eat cereal with him. Cereal with Cyril. It's a new rom-com. So there you have it. That is the Andor sizzle reel. Short, sweet, to the point. It's looking good. I love Andor. And, you know, we're not allowed to talk about that too much on this show when young Nick is here, because he hates Kino Loy and he hates the one way out. He had zero emotional reaction to that. Sometimes I question if young Nick is actually a living human these days, or if he has been replaced by the machines. Because I'm super excited for Andor. Who's with me on let's rewatch season 1 before season 2? We now know the date is going to be 4/22, so we got to get Andor done before that. Maybe save it for post Skeleton Crew. But I definitely think I'm going to do a rewatch, and maybe one of these days my dumbass will watch content with the fans. Isn't that something creatives do? Right? We sit here and we all throw on a show and hit start at the same time and watch it together. Isn't that a thing? So maybe here or there I'll try to do that myself some of these nights. Just throw up a live and put on an episode of Andor, and I can't show it to you, but we'll watch it together and talk about it while we're watching it. Maybe that could be a channel members only type of thing. Bat wants to rewatch Ahsoka. I'll get there. I'll do that once Ahsoka season 2's out. Ben, they're rewatching. So yeah, I think an Andor rewatch is definitely in order for a lot of us, because it'll be almost 3 years before we get to see it again, which is the old seems to be the new cadence of streaming content. So, all right, well, yeah, I'll watch a little Andor season 1, maybe an episode or 2 we'll watch together so we can talk about it. Okay. Well, you know what, people? We're doing good on time. Even by myself, I still expend a lot of hot air, it appears. And this thing is still going to go at least 2 hours. So apologies to those of you that thought you were going to get done a little bit earlier than usual here. But I got more for you. And this one is it's kind of like an editorial. And yes, it's about the prequel era, friends. The prequel era. I know a lot of you think I'm not down with it, but I love all Star Wars. I really do. I can be critical about it without being an asshole, or being an asshole as long as I'm not a racist piece of shit, misogynistic asshole. How's that? But yeah, we're here. We're to the main topic, Bat. Hold your horses. All you people, you get plenty of bang for your buck when you turn into the SWTS. Speaking of banging and bucking, any of you, if you want to consider becoming a channel member, we now offer that for you. We've got the old links down below. You can join the channel, become an official member. You know, if you want to be like Bat and get a little Darth Vader cat next to your name on the stream, that's the way to do it. We have memberships as low as $1.99 or as high as $10 a month. We love all of you. We speak your names. There you are right there in the scroll. Any member, you are forever immortalized on every live stream because your name makes the scroll. There they are right there. League, Be Mad, Beyond the Dune Sea. And once we come back around, I'll try to read a few others. But we love you. We'd love for more people to join and see who can get to the peak form of Darth Vader cat first. There's a few of you that signed up right at the same time, so we're going to have some sort of battle royale death match to decide the true winner. All right, so let's go ahead and get down to it. Let's get down to it here. Phantom Menace, my favorite prequel. It really is. Like, it's not even close. I love this movie, and I think Attack of the Clones might be my second favorite, and I'm always going to be a little harsh on Revenge of the Sith just because I know it twists the taint or tickles the tits of some of you hardcore prequel fans out there. But hey, 25 years. It's already been 25 years. Over 25 years. Hell, 25 and a half years at this point in time, because I'll never forget it. The Phantom Menace released in May of 1999, right when I finished my freshman year of college. I remember coming down back to Columbus, trying to convince people, like, no, this is going to be great. Let's wait in line. I got a few people to do it with me on opening night. All the lines, all the fanfare, and then I proceeded to see it 9 more times by myself. But the Phantom Menace has a special place in my heart. It really does, and it always will. And it's really because it's the first Star Wars movie, outside of Return of the Jedi, but I was fucking 3, so I was still mushy brain. But it was that as a hardcore fan, I got to fan out over its entire production through Star Wars Insider. So I got to follow along with what George was thinking, what he was doing, what characters could be in it, what it may be about. And then I actually, as a 19-year-old, got to go see it play out on screen. I'll never forget that point in my life. I just will not. It's one of those memories that I don't know how you old people try to explain it to younger kids, but the older you get, you just get like flashes of your past. They're like memory flashes. You might remember a bit of a day because you get that memory flash, but you don't remember much past it. TPM and when it came out, that is definitely a flash for me. Bat's asking, do you hate ROTS because it hurt you, Matt? No, it didn't hurt me. It was, I think, when ROTS came out and I saw how his turn happened, it was the final nail in the coffin of the hope I had that the prequel trilogy would end on a strong note and feel like a very cohesive, well-orchestrated trilogy. I really try. I mean, I was like, after I saw Attack of the Clones, I was like, okay, yeah, yeah, this trilogy's going okay. And then ROTS was the one. It's like, okay, this is it. This is it. We're going to see it. We're going to see him become Vader. This is what I've been waiting for since 1996 when this fucking trilogy was announced. I was jazzed. Movie opened strong. And then the turn happens. And I was just like, eek. That's it, huh? That's how Anakin did it, huh? Okay. I don't make the correlation between that guy and Darth Vader, but okay, hey, whatever. We got through the prequels. I never want to watch Star Wars again. Like that's how I felt coming out of Revenge of the Sith. It's like, you know what? I was disappointed. My headcanon definitely added to that. But I had to remove myself like Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Luke did. And it wasn't until TFA came out that I really opened back up to being the hardcore Star Wars fan that I was. So, Bat, you may be right. The prequels in general kind of hurt me a little bit. I lost the will to fan instead of live. But circling back here to kind of get through this last topic, I love the Phantom Menace. I really do think it's great. So 25 years later, let's celebrate 10 interesting facts about the Phantom Menace's main character design. Okay, we have this post up on StarWarsTime.net if you want to dive into it. If you want to listen to Artificial Scott and Sally talk about it, they too are included in the post. So here, let's go through the 10 interesting design facts about our main characters. So to set this up, this comes from a StarWars.com article, so it's all official. And they were celebrating the 25 years of TPM, but they were doing it through the lens of a creative, one of the main creatives, Ian McCaig. Ian McCaig, if you didn't know, he was the lead artist for all of the main characters in the Phantom Menace. Think about that job. He was in charge of bringing George's vision of Darth Maul to life, of Padme Amidala to life, of young Anakin Skywalker to life, young Obi-Wan Kenobi to life, and Qui-Gon Jinn to life. And this was the inspiration he was given from George Lucas himself. I find this Absolutely. I love it. It's so George. But essentially, when it came time to start explaining to his artists and his creatives what the Phantom Menace was going to be about, who the characters were, this is how George approached at least the character of Darth Maul. I guess he just walked into Ian's room and said, "Darth Maul, he's our new Sith Lord," and then just walks out. He doesn't give him anything, doesn't give him any notes, doesn't give him any sketches, doesn't give him any ideas, just the name, Darth Maul. He's our new Sith Lord. Peace out, bro. So, Ian in the article, he's like, I didn't know if Maul was male or female, an alien, anything. It freaked me out at the beginning that I didn't get much direction. Then I realized that maybe he picked me because he liked my work and wanted me to show him what I thought a Darth Maul might look like. I mean, think about that. Your boss comes in, hey, Bat, Darth Maul, new Sith Lord, peace. And you got to start, what the fuck is a Darth Maul? I've heard of the word Darth before. What's a Maul besides something that used to exist in the 80s and 90s? So, George, we know this if you've watched any of the behind the scenes from the prequels. George clearly enjoys reacting to visuals. Ian says one of his many skills is that he can look at 50 things, make choices, move things around, take a head from this character and put it on the body of that one over there, and suddenly it's Star Wars. We learn to trust him and also to trust ourselves. So while George's method of directing actors by not giving them much direction probably isn't good, it's sounding like his method of telling his creative team what he is envisioning in his head and giving them zero direction actually was a good move. I know Nick and I have joked about this before, but if you have watched the behind the scenes of the prequels, he literally, you'll see it. All the artists, they'll hustle and bustle. George is coming. They have all their boards up with all their concept art, and he'll come in with like a stamp or a pen and just go, nope, good, no, I like that head, body, bad. And then he gets his Star Wars characters. So I think that's pretty cool. Like I said, works for artists, not so great for actors there, Georgie boy. So what was the initial inspiration for Darth Maul's design? Guess what? The first one included a helmet. All right, Ian said initially he envisioned Darth Maul wearing a helmet like Darth Vader because that's the only thing he knew. We had a Darth Vader, he had a helmet. George gave me a Darth Maul. He's got to have a helmet too. So I guess Ian spent months trying to out-helmet Darth Vader with his Darth Maul concept. But after, many unsuccessful attempts at trying to bring a helmet to Maul, he decided to explore, what would be under the helmet? What would we want to see under a helmet? So he experimented with, face tattoos, circuit boards kind of baked into the face that might have connected to a helmet. I mean, he even started using his own face to model what he believed a terrifying visage would look like. He said, working late night in my studio, I had the eerie feeling I was being watched. My imagination conjured a dead white face pressed against the studio window, glittering eyes staring at me. It grinned sharp metal teeth as it peered, distorted through rivulets of rain. So I drew that face for George. Well, guess what? Fact number 2, George really didn't like McCaig's initial design. In fact, Lucas was kind of startled by what McCaig called his worst nightmare design. Lucas found it was too reminiscent of a horror movie villain. So he asked Ian, what's your second worst nightmare there, my man? Which, believe it or not, led to the iconic clown-inspired face paint. I'll be honest with you, I did not know that Darth Maul's face tattoos were inspired by Bozo the Clown. Bozo the fucking Clown gave us one of the most, if not the most naturally badass looking character in all of Star Wars. So remember, George said, hey Ian, what's your second worst nightmare? Use that to start figuring out what Maul should look like. And Ian's like, well, you know what? My second worst nightmare are clowns. I mean, he went on to say, I love clowns, but something about those painted expressions scares me because you know what they're really thinking. No, I'm sorry, because who knows what they're really thinking? So I used the marking on Maul's face to conjure contradictory emotions, malice but delight, scowling but grinning like a skull. Every single mark matters. And boy, did I know my worst mythological nightmare. Ever since I saw his white painted face leering at me from an LA billboard when I was 2 years old, I've been terrified of Bozo the Clown. So there you go. If you ever want to run a Star Wars trilogy night, you can ask, which clown was Darth Maul's face inspired by? Pretty impressive. But I get what Ian's saying. And if you think about it, Ray Park, poor Ray, I think he's on a bender again. He was on social media a week or two ago, just going nuts. But Ray Park, who brought Darth Maul to life, at least from a physical standpoint, Ian said he got it instantly, that when you have this almost clown-like makeup on, you could be sitting there scowling at someone, but it might actually look like you're getting off almost. And that's what we saw from Darth Maul. I mean, when two Jedi showed up, instead of going, oh shit, he grinned almost. He scowled, but it was almost like, all right, yes, this is exactly what I want. So I see exactly what Ian was feeling back then in the early 90s, the mid-90s, when he designed Darth Maul. Jesus, man, I've gotten old fast to think about that. Darth Maul's been around for over 25 years, and his design is probably close to 30 years old now. Fuck. All right, so now we got the face down. Here's point number 4. What inspired Darth Maul's distinctive horns? Well, while we know the final design featured horns, McCaig initially envisioned Darth Maul to have black feathers attached by wire coils that were cutting into his flesh. So that's what his head was going to look like. So I'm trying to envision it here, but it's almost like he surgically implanted black feathers around his face to almost create like a plume effect. Sounds very Maul-like, very Sith-like. You know, the more you can hurt yourself, the angrier you're going to get. So I get it there. Number 5. Was Darth Maul always intended to be a male? Well, guess what? No. McCaig experimented with both sexes when he first started designing Darth Maul. And once the male version got approved, he submitted his concept for the female Darth Maul, which was a black and white face Sith witch in a flayed red costume, which George did like, but he rejected for the Maul we got. But guess what? McCaig's female Darth Maul design would later be resurrected by Dave Filoni in the Clone Wars for Mother Talzin. So there's another good trivia question. Which two characters are related to each other? Well, which character was originally meant to be Darth Maul? And your answer would be, who is Mother Talzin? So I thought that's pretty cool. So Mother Talzin actually was designed in the mid-90s, but did not make her debut until the mid-aughts or the late-aughts when the Clone Wars hit the airwaves. So just goes to show you, if you're a concept artist working in Hollywood, working for an outfit like Lucasfilm, you never know when one of your ideas may be called upon. But you're for damn sure Ian probably didn't get paid anything for them reusing something he did many years ago while working on the Phantom Menace. All right, so number 6, how did McCaig approach designing Queen Amidala? So we got some interesting insights here. Apparently, McCaig and team, they wanted Queen Amidala's design to represent the force of nature, resisting the tide of evil. So that's kind of how he styled her and designed her. He took a lot of inspiration from the Art Nouveau movement, but he dubbed it his own movement called Space Nouveau. So he was incorporating elements from all sort of historical periods and cultures. You know, we got the face paint from the Japanese geishas, the married Mongolian woman's traditional appearance, and even Queen Elizabeth I to give us that regal look of Queen Amidala. Hey there, a Star Wars Toy Story. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. We're just talking about 10 interesting design facts 25 years later, now that the TPM is 25 years old. Number 7, and I still don't even know this connection, so maybe someone in the live stream can help me out here. But apparently, George Lucas told Ian McKay that he was inspired by Princess Ozma from Wizard of Oz when he cooked up the character of Padme. Who the hell is Princess Ozma from the Wizard of Oz? Is that like the movie doesn't cover that, I'm guessing? I don't remember any princesses in the Wizard of Oz. I just remember the stupid movie that was made many, many years ago, and that if you're in the right mindset, you can start Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon with it, and it sort of lines up. So, yeah, I don't know. Not really sure who Princess Ozma is, but apparently George was inspired by her so much that that's what he used to create Padme Amidala. Okay, number 8. You might have saw this one. I saw this one getting kicked around in the Star Wars socials a week or two ago. But our Jedi, Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi, were actually supposed to be reversed. Oh, there. Star Wars Story is saying that Princess Ozma is in the second book. Okay, so Divided tell me we might see that in Wicked. All right, sure. I don't know. I know, tangent time, but I think next week we get Wicked and Gladiator 2 releasing same week. I think the way I'm approaching this, I'm going to do Gladiator Thursday night and then take the ladies to Wicked on Saturday, maybe. Yeah, there we go. Anyways, back to our Jedi. Initially, in the Phantom Menace, the older Jedi was supposed to be called Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the younger Jedi was going to be Qui-Gon Jinn. This is one of those changes George made late in development, where he ended up making the younger Jedi Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then the older one Qui-Gon Jinn. But the thinking here is that Qui-Gon was going to be Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan was going to be Qui-Gon. So when Qui-Gon sees Obi-Wan die at the hands of Darth Maul and makes his pledge to train Anakin, at that point in time, he also pledges to take on his master's name after the death of the OG Obi-Wan. And, you know, apparently that's why we hear Alec Guinness's Obi-Wan say, Obi-Wan? Now that's a name I've not heard in a long time. So there's that. Qui-Gon was Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan was Qui-Gon. What do we think about that? Do we like that he just changed it and made Obi-Wan Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Qui-Gon? Or would we have liked that little lore nugget there to learn that our Obi-Wan actually started as a Qui-Gon and only became Obi-Wan after his master Obi-Wan died at the hands of Darth Maul? Any thoughts out there? Divided, saying that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to kind of think about it in hindsight because we got what we got. But I think that would have been kind of cool to learn. It would have been, at least for me, a nerd for all things not real life lore. I would have liked that little nugget, like, oh, okay, that's how Obi-Wan got the name. I'm down. Mando is glad that George changed it, so you have that as well. Just keeping it as is. Obi-Wan's always been Obi-Wan, and fuck his dying master. All right, number 9 in terms of out of our list of 10 interesting design insights to the Phantom Menace's main characters. I like this. The last two are about George, really, and I think this would have been fun, maybe frustrating at times. But apparently, one way George influenced his creatives and their process, you know, he was very encouraging to explore their own ideas first, and then he'd come in and give them feedback. But apparently, at one point in time, McKay is recounting to us that George was just dissatisfied with what was happening with the pod racer designs across the board. Just like, no, this is no good. Not at all. So he led by example. And according to McCaig, he took out a piece of paper and drew the birdcage Maserati in perfect 3-point perspective, clearly demonstrating his vision for the vehicle. So, while George was kind of hands off and wanted to see what they would cook up, he would realize if they were struggling and be like, all right, people, I'm going to open my head for a second. Don't stare at it for too long. It might blow you away. And I'm going to pour out exactly what I'm envisioning to give you a better idea of what I'm looking for. So I think that's kind of cool that George, not only is he cooking up these worlds in his head and his mind, but ultimately he is able to put them to paper if need be to influence his creatives in their process. But you also have to like that even a guy like George Lucas, who by the time the prequel came around, he was a dude, okay? Motherfucker created Star Wars out of his asshole. He didn't have to do really anything anymore. He didn't have to create anymore. He chose to. And he could have been a tyrant. He could have been like, I'm George fucking Lucas. This is exactly what we're doing. This is what they're going to look like. This is how everything's going to feel, sound, yada, yada. I am George, hear me roar. But he didn't approach it that way. I think he understood how artists work, at least conceptual artists, not actor artists. And he would give them a nugget of information, Darth Maul, Sith Lord, walk away and just see what his fellow humans could come up with. And I think that's probably why we got some really, really wild looking, crazy designs in both the original trilogy and the prequel. And then last but not least, number 10. And this, honestly, I would pay to go back in time to experience this live. But apparently the way George would relay the story in his head to his team is something every one of us would cut off an appendage to experience. But apparently, every week, George would visit the artists, and he would share a new installment of the developing saga. In fact, Ian said George would lean back in his chair, half close his eyes, and tell us the next part like it was a bedtime story. He'd always stop when we were dying to know what happens next, then get up and walk back downstairs, leaving us with this new nugget of story. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine having George Lucas walk into your shared office space and say, all right, everyone put your pencils down. I'm about to deliver the next chapter of this new Star Wars story I've been cooking up in my head. Feel free to close your eyes. I'm going to do so. And we're just going to sit around the fucking campfire here at Lucasfilm, Skywalker Ranch. And you're about to be the first humans to hear what I'm cooking up for this new Star Wars movie. I just like, come on. And the fact that he would do it bedtime story style and actually leave his team on a cliffhanger, knowing that would motivate them to work more, to work towards the next chapter of the story. Yeah, that's exactly it, League. I mean, he literally was doing a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away for his team to let them know what's coming next. He wasn't giving them scripts. He wasn't giving them storyboards right off the bat. He was giving them direct from the source, unfiltered. I mean, instead of coming from his brain to his hand to paper, it was now going brain to mouth, right to his team. And I just sit there and close my eyes. I'm like, God damn, to be Doug Chain or Ian McCaig, to be sitting there. George comes up. Oh shit, it's time for story time. We're going to find out what happens next. I wonder what happened after they got off Naboo and blew through that Trade Federation blockade. Where are they going? Where's George going to take them? And then George comes in and lets them know that they end up on Tatooine. And they meet a junk dealer. And they have to pod race. And they find Anakin and he's a slave. I mean, come on. Talk about some golden moments right there. And they probably didn't know. I mean, yeah, they knew George was a legend, but they didn't know what they were experiencing. I wonder how they feel all these years later that they got to do that. League's asking, was Filoni on the scene for the prequels? No, he was not. He would have probably still been in Pittsburgh or working on, probably still in school, to be honest with you. I think Filoni is a couple years older than me, but not many. So he would have been working with Cartoon Network or whatever he was on initially, but he was not involved in the prequels. Filoni was not brought in until George did the Clone Wars, which would have been 2008. All right. So there you go. I don't know if that was a worthwhile special segment, but I found the 10 facts to be kind of interesting. I mean, I love the idea that Darth Maul was a female, and that female version of Maul became Talzin. I think that's a cool connection. And in the way George would let his team know about the story, I mean, that to me is just priceless. So there we go. Perfect time for this week's fan segment. That's right, my friends. This is usually when I'm starting to crash, and I have Nick to kind of take over for me. So bear with me. I'll try to keep that lovely smile going here on the live stream. If you want to live stream with us, don't forget 5 p. Eastern, as close as we can get Wednesdays, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. Oh, we're back. We're back around for more roll call. Divided Skywalker is a channel member. David Chavez, channel member. Mike Mansell 1. Linda Matsumoto. Tones 1138. Ted 5. Bango. Bat 2797. Nova Toymation. Sir Dork. And we've made it through them all. We love you. We speak your names. Okay, just in case you are new here, which I doubt is the case, we do a weekly fan segment to close out the show. All right, there's 2 ways to get involved. First is a question of the week, which we will post Wednesdays to our social network. So Instagram at StarWarsTime.show. It goes in our Discord. It goes on our YouTube community page, Twitter. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to use that. I think I'm gonna have to wipe that from my life, just for my own sanity. But it's out there. You can find it. You just got to respond to it, and we will feature it on the show during the fan segment. So if you are following us and you're not seeing our content, shame on the algorithm, but also shame on you. Just means you haven't interacted with the SWTS enough. So clicky dicky, if you know what I mean. Click, comment, share, clip, do what you got to do. Just let people know that you are down. Devin, you are late. We haven't seen you for a few weeks, buddy. Welcome to the new style here. It looks like you showed up in the horizontal feed, so you figured it out. But yeah, we're rocking and rolling all sorts of new streams these days. We're vertical. We're horizontal. We are cross-chattel, as they say in the scientific community. All right. What else we got going on here? So question of the week, and then we'll do top 5 after that, which is the final way to get involved in the Star Wars Time Show on a weekly basis. And we'll talk more about that in a hot second. So let's go ahead and put this browser away. We've got our Slacker open here. Let's take to the Slack to see what the fans were asking us. Okay, so this week we said, what is going on here? I'm not liking this shit. For some reason, my vertical feed is not updating my windows. Okay, that's a problem. We'll fix it. We can always fix things here. I just wish we didn't have to. There we go. So our question this week is, do you want the new trilogy to continue the Skywalker saga or be something different, and why? Well, we actually got some responses this week, so this might have struck a nerve with the fandom. First up, League of Extraordinary Sixers. The beautiful thing about Star Wars is that it's an expansive universe. There are great untold stories to be told. The Skywalkers can live on in animation and give Rey the live-action films TV to continue the Skywalker saga there in that way. Amen. Mando mugshots. Since there are no Skywalkers left, well, Rey is sorta. It makes sense to start something completely new. Just please know somehow Palpatine returned. I'm with you there. 2797 Studios, a.k.a. The Bat. And we're getting Devin in here, coming right away. He thinks it should be a new saga, even though she can still promote the Skywalker name. Okay. So Bat is saying, why not both? Like it or not, Skywalkers will be forever embedded in the Star Wars universe. That's exactly right, just like Jesus is embedded in our universe. Do your new trilogy with Rey, but do it slowly, like every 3 to 4 years. No reason they can't do other features, Mando and Grogu coming and use D+ for fringe content, Old Republic, maybe animated what ifs or whatever. All good ideas. Unfortunately, I don't think people listen to good ideas over at Lucasfilm these days. It's like they're over there bitching like we're almost out of nostalgia capital. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is Star Wars. Create new nostalgia or keep leaning on the nostalgia. Just keep rolling Luke-ass Skywalker out and you're going to keep a large portion of the fandom happy. Okay. Other responses we got. Scion XTC. The Skywalker story / characters make money because it's what we're used to since 1977. But with that being said, too, it's been 47 years of the same thing. It's time to shake it up and give us new stories, new characters. It's all the same galaxy. Referencing the Skywalker saga is fine, but let's get away from what we know and explore something new. Black Series Natural Light. Shadows of the Empire would be great. There you go. It's almost like we have a roadmap to try and recapture some of the nostalgia, right? Lucasfilm? Huh? Maybe? I don't know. Huh? Legends? Meh. EU? Meh. See, I'm starting to break down. I knew it. This is like the human body can only go so many hours talking straight with no notes before you start to get a little loopy. So I'm trying, but usually young Nick is reading these. Okay, here we go. Toys for Shads. Star Wars needs to move on from the Skywalker. Some of my favorite books are the Old Republic books. It can be done. Truth. Quick Picks Toys. I already saw something different and no thanks. We can tell still a lot in the saga without seeing Mark Hamill or a clone of him as Rogue One did so well. All right, looks like we lost the stream here. YouTube doing its thing that it's been doing these days. I just do not get that. It's so weird. Like YouTube is just going along. It's like, all right, we quit. It doesn't end the stream. It literally just quits it. And as long as I reload the page, we're good to go. But there we are. Such is life. Okay. And what do we got next? This is Michael Kramer. Different. As much as I love the Skywalker saga, it's time for new material. We have the Old Republic just sitting there waiting for us to see. We got Revan, we got Malgus, and Malik. The war with the Mandalorians. There is so much there that it would be amazing in live action. I think if they want to please majority of the audience again, they need to go in that direction, honestly. Okay. YC Solo. Something totally different, please, away from anything that written or already shown in games, comics, EU, etc. We need the new Star Wars to feel as exciting and mind-blowing as the very first movie was when it came out. They need to give us new worlds, new lore, craft new concepts that will become the next step for Star Wars, not set in the past. It's too easy to get caught in the existing themes and disappoint part of the fans, okay? I do not mind a hint or reference to existing material, like an old beat-up X-Wing or Astromech, but writers should stop going the easy way with this multi-billion franchise, and please, Disney, never attempt to use from AI for new script ideas. Whew. That was a mouthful. And, yeah, you never know, YC Solo, you never know. All right. Anti-adulting. I like it. And their little emoji is a gong. Perfect. Honestly, I think we need something mostly brand new, but keep a few links to the Skywalker saga, but it shouldn't be the focus. And then the High Republican. I like that. What Skywalker? They're all a part of the living force unless Anakin returns as a Mortis god. Well, again, like I said, there is technically an adopted Skywalker out there, so whether you like it or not, we can't just sit there and go, yeah, the Skywalkers are gone. Yeah, maybe by blood, but not by name and legend. All right, moving on. Mac122198. I think this is Michael Kramer again. Okay, we already read that one. And then we'll close out here with Nova. I'm fine with a new trilogy, including Rey and characters from the sequels, but they need to let the Sith rest as antagonists in these. I think I was saying that earlier, Nova. We just got away from the Skywalker saga and defeating Palpatine twice! If it's a totally new threat, awesome. I'm in, but I don't want them to even mention the name Skywalker in this new trilogy. Well, you better hope no one calls Rey by her full name, pal. Otherwise, you're going to have to light yourself on fire. All right, so there you go. Thanks again. That is our question of the week segment. As I said earlier, if you want to get involved, just check our socials on Wednesday, usually later in the morning before the afternoon. You will see the prompt either on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Discord, or wherever else you can get your SWTS action. Just got to be following notifications on so you don't miss a beat. All right, so now we will transition back over to our browser window for the top 5 Star Wars fan artist features of the week. So we do this every week. The way to get involved is through Instagram and the @StarWarsTime.show account. So we need you to use our hashtag Star Wars Time Show. But more importantly, if you want to be included for the weekly top 5, you have to do add tag @StarWarsTime.show. From that list of tagged shots, my man Young Nick, who hopefully is not dead, will pick his 5 favorite of the week. He'll put the post out on StarWarsTime.net. We'll celebrate them with a photo grid on Instagram and other socials. And then during the live stream, we honor the top 5 with praise, adulation, maybe even a reach around. You never know. All right, so here we go. This week's top 5 brought to you by Young Nick, who is not here, so I will do them for him. Go. Fuck, that was a fail. I just hit go, and it went to the full browser, and the full browser is not working. So that was, there we go. I'm going to have to figure out what the hell is going on here with my system. All right, so first up, in our top 5 this week, it's going to do it again. This is not good. We've got to figure this out. We have got to figure this out, people. Hold on. All right. Nope. Damn it. Bear with me. I know this was not doing this shit last week. I think I updated my Mac and might have broke something. All right, here we go. Now we're scrolling. All right, first up for this week's top 5, we have articulated_plastic with a great looking shot of a custom Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. We got the Mafex Din Djarin and Mafex Grogu. It's just a crispy shot, as we like to say in the toy photography community. Just a crispy shot. This custom Luke from J&B Toys looks absolutely awesome. For some reason, young Luke, his sculpt has been hard for a lot of toy manufacturers to figure out, but not J&B Toys. I don't know if that's a custom outfit out there or what, but this is a pretty sweet looking crispy shot. Good looking layout here. I like the poses. You got Luke doing the force arm with his green blade at the ready, and you got Mando kind of, pimp walking with the Darksaber out, and Grogu towing behind. Nice use of atmosphere, practical, effects in there with the sand. Looks like we got an extreme sets in the back. Just an all-around good shot from articulated_plastic on Instagram. Up next, we have, this could be a new top 5 recipient here in the form of @figures_blazing. So figures_blazing. And they have a nice simple shot of Zeb Aurelios kind of sitting there, pounding his fists together, looking all tough like Lasats do. There's like a nice purple backlight behind them with some atmosphere going on, and I don't know, it's just it's like the lighting works well for Zeb, the pose works well for Zeb, and I can just see him sitting there kind of getting ready to knock some trooper skulls, if you know what I mean. So this is a good looking shot here from @figures_blazing on Instagram. Next shot comes from Star Wars Rick, whose protege Just Tebow was featured last week in Nick's Top 5. But now the Master is back, and he is portraying a Sith Master taking out his son. So we got a nice shot of Darth Vader standing there with his old blue Skywalker family blade and his new red Darth Vader blade crisscrossed over the body of Luke, who's kind of looking up, going, oh shit, am I going to end up like Count Dooku? Luke's looking around to make sure that there's not an emperor sitting on a throne anywhere, getting ready to say, do it. But it's a good looking shot from Star Wars Rick. They always have, nice, fun, OT era-based shots. And you got to love seeing father and son have a game of death being played out with their laser swords. So Star Wars _Rick on Instagram. Up next, this is probably my personal favorite one of the week, and I probably should start doing that, give my personal favorite out of Nick's top 5. But I love this shot from @ToyRealms, all one word. Toy Realms is great. She does some really great outdoor practical shots. This one, you've got the 501st just all lined up. You got Rex there, Jesse's there, Fives is there. It's just they're all lined up kind of in a battle formation. You've got this atmosphere coming up behind them, this nice red, kind of like a, dusk type of sunlight behind them. It just pops so well. And then Toy Realms, what she does, which is nice, is she always writes a story for every shot. I'm not going to sit here and read the whole fucking thing because I'm a moron, but she's got a nice little punched up story to explain what Rex and his brothers are doing in this shot. But even if you're like me and you don't have time for reading, you have plenty of time to check out @ToyRealms on Instagram and their great work. And finally, to close things out here, this is a many-time top 5 recipient, JZHZ6669 on Instagram. Just another amazing composited shot featuring Star Wars Hot Toys. In this one, it looks like JZHZ got their hands on the zombie stormtrooper from the Ahsoka series, and they're mashed up in a No Time to Die kind of Halloween Star Wars Night Trooper type of poster. The pose is great. I love what JZHZ does with their renders and how they render all their backgrounds. And they typically show you what they were working with. So this was a set. We got the Halloween one featuring the Death Trooper Hot Toys, which looks just as good. But Nick wanted to go with the Trooper here, and I can't blame him. I'm actually excited to get this figure. I wish I got in on the Death Trooper, which was limited. But I think these are pretty cool looking Hot Toys. They're definitely conversation pieces, right? Like, hey, if you got maybe a fan that didn't see Ahsoka, or maybe a non-Star Wars fan, they roll in and they see this Stormtrooper on your shelf with the red bandages and the gold inlay to kind of keep their armor forged. They're going to ask you a question about that. So that is a conversation starter. All right, people, that is the end of the top 5. And as Nick likes to say, that is the end of our show today. So hopefully that was tolerable, just dealing with me for the entire episode, 2+ hours. I know it's probably not your favorite, but we did it. We're still alive. I'm still alive. I can still see. I can still hear. I can still breathe. So I did something. I'm not sure. Why am I on Nick's screen? Let's go back to my screen. But here we are. I got to figure out why my windows are not lining up with each other anymore. Thank you, League. I will take some trophies tonight. I will definitely take some trophies. I'm feeling it. I'm woe out. I am woe the fuck out, as you might have heard on the Stern Show. I'm ready to taste some juice, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, people, it's time to say goodbye. Thanks, as always, to my friends that joined me for the entire live stream. You know who you are, the Bats of the Worlds, the Leagues, the Novas, the Divideds, the Devons, even though he showed up late, the Bens. We love all of you. Thanks to all you new people peeking in. Hopefully you liked what you saw and you'll consider sticking around or coming back. We do it pretty much every Wednesday, 5 p. Eastern, as close as we can get, youtube.com/Star Wars Time Show. But in between now and the next show, just take your happy asses over to StarWarsTime.net. That's our internet home base. Think of it as our echo base, if you will. You can get a lot of good information there. Typically, the content we're talking about on our weekly shows is going to show up on StarWarsTime.net, such as the Simon Kinberg article, the Rey article, Andor Season 2, TPM 25 years later. It's all over there to consume. Some of them you'll be greeted and enhanced by our artificial Scott and Sally teammates who now run our AI podcasts. But there really is always time for Star Wars Time. We're just asking you to not forget about that in between our little Wednesday parties. Point your new friends, point your old friends, point your enemies to StarWarsTime.net. Let them know, like, hey, just go look at their stupid shit. Go join their dumb podcasts. You know, just click on some of the links because that's what you can do on StarWarsTime.net. They're all up there at the top. Subscribe to podcasts. Look at that. Look at all of those podcast platforms. You are just salivating thinking about signing up, rating our show, and reviewing it. All right? We speak your name. We speak your name. And, like League is saying, we also are speaking artificial Scott and Sally's name. They're great team members. They never need a break. They don't need any wages. They don't need to eat. They just do what I tell them to it, and they really snap to when it's time to get going. And they too like StarWarsTime.net, and they too know that there's always time for Star Wars Time. All right? Okay, people, it's been real. I'm going to go pass out, just maybe fall out of my chair and die. But I enjoyed it. It was worth it. I always love spending time with my Star Wars crew, even by my lonesome. All right, my friends, you know what we say when it's time to say goodbye. There's always time for Star Wars Time. And if you listen to the Star Wars Time show, the Force will be with all of you always.